Hi guys, this is the Python series. In this session, we will discuss about the types of arguments in the function definition. There are two types of arguments. The first one is default arguments. The second one is the variable length arguments. What is default arguments? Python allows us to initialize the arguments at the function definition. Okay, if the value of any of the arguments is not provided at the time of function call, then that argument value can be initialized with the value given in the function definition. I repeat it again. Python allows us to initialize the arguments at the function definition. Okay, if the value of any of the arguments is not provided at the time of a function call, then that value can be initialized with the value given in the function definition. Okay, let's see this example. Here I have created the display user-defined function. And inside this display function, I have the country argument. And I have given the value Africa to the country. So this value is the default value. Okay, and inside this display method, I have used the print method to print the country on my console. And I have created three call statements for the same definition part. Okay, after encounter this statement, what will happen? The control carries India and jumps from the fourth line to the second line. Here, the India only will be stored inside the country. Okay, so this Africa won't be used because here we have the value inside the call statement. So this India only will be stored inside the country. This Africa won't be stored inside the country. So what is the output for this call statement? India. After then the control jumps from the third line to the fifth line. Here we have America. Now the control carries America. That value only will be stored inside the country. The Africa won't be stored inside the country. Okay, so the America only will be printed on our console. After then the control jumps from the third line to the sixth line. In this statement, I didn't have any argument value. Okay, this is also the call statement, but here there is no argument value. So now what will happen? The control jumps from the sixth line to the second line. Now only this Africa will be stored inside the country. Okay, so if the value of the argument is not provided at the time of the call statement, then only the value of the argument can be initialized with the value given in the definition. Okay, so this is called the default argument. Okay, now let me execute this one. Here, this is the call statement. This is the output for this call statement, and this is the output for this call statement, and this is the output for this call statement. Okay. If the value is not provided at the time of the call statement only, the value of the argument can be initialized with the value given in the definition. That's why we got Africa here. Okay. So, if I am not give any default value here, means what will happen? Actually, fourth and fifth statements won't give any errors because here we have the values. But the sixth call statement didn't have any values. And also here there is no default value. So we will get the error for this statement. Okay, so in order to avoid this type of errors, we can use this type of default arguments. Okay, let me execute this one. Now here India is printed, America is printed, but here there is no value for this argument. That's why we got this error. Display missing one required positional argument country. But if I use the default value for this country, means we won't get any errors. Am I correct? So now I give Africa here means this error will be gone. Okay, actually here there is no value, but here we have the default value. So if we don't provide any value for the call statement means the default value will be executed. Okay, if I am not give this default value here means we got this type of error only. Got it? Let me execute again. Now the error is not present. See this example. Here I have created one user defined function display and I have two arguments x and y, and also I have given the default values for x and y arguments. Okay, so x value is 10 and y value is 12. So these values are the default values for x and y respectively. Okay, and what is the role of this display? It simply prints the x and y value on our console. And here I have created 3 call statements. So 5th statement holds a single argument value, 6th call statement holds 2 argument values, 7th call statement holds nothing. Okay, so what will happen? After encounter this line, the control carries 22 and jumps from the 5th line to the 2nd line. Okay, here we have the default values, but 22 will be stored inside the x, because here we have the value for x. So this 10 won't be stored inside the x, this 22 only will be stored inside the x variable. But here there is no value for y argument. So what will happen? This default value will be stored inside the y. Okay, and the 6th statement I have 2 argument values. So the 100 will be stored inside the x variable and 20 will be stored inside the y variable. So the default values won't be stored. The values from the call statement only will be stored. Okay, and here 7th statement, no values for x and y. Then what will happen? The default values only will be executed for x and y values. Got it? Let me execute this. Here, this is the output for 5th statement, 22 x value, but here there is no y value, that's why the default value is printed here. And here we have values for x and y, so the values from call statement is printed 100 and 20, not the default values. But here there is no x and y values. So what will happen? The default values 10 and 12 is printed. Got it? I hope you all understood about what is default argument and why we need this type of default arguments. Why we need? Sometimes we won't give any values to the arguments. At that time, if we provide the default values means we won't get any errors. Otherwise, we will get the errors. Okay, that's why we need the default arguments. In this session, we will discuss about the variable length arguments in function definition. Variable length argument is also known as the arbitrary arguments. Okay, what is variable length arguments? In large projects, we may not know the number of arguments to be passed in advance. In such cases, Python provides us the flexibility to offer the comma-separated values, which are internally treated as tuples at the function call. By using the variable length arguments, we can pass any number of arguments. There are 2 types of variable length arguments. One is the positional argument, the second one is the keyword arguments. In this session, we will discuss about the positional arguments. Let's see this example. I have created the function. My fun is my function name. Inside this function, I have the argument with asterisk symbol. This is the syntax. Okay. So, the argument with asterisk, it indicates this is the variable length argument. Okay. And inside this my fun, I have the print statement and I have implemented the for loop. And I want to know the type of this argument. That's why I have used the type of method here. We already discussed about the type of method. Type of method is used to return the type of the given variable. And here I have implemented the for loop. Okay, for the first iteration, the first value will be stored inside this variable. And that value will be printed with the hello on my console. Okay, likewise, the second value and the third value, fourth value, fifth value, sixth value. So the number of iterations should be the number of elements inside the tuple object, because this is the comma separated values which are internally treated as tuple. Okay, so we will get hello Kala, hello Meena, hello Ram, hello Leela, hello Priya and hello Geeta on my console. So this type of function is called the variable length arguments. Okay, so in which situation this type of variable length arguments will be used? In large projects, we may not know the number of arguments to be passed in advance. Okay, so in those situations, we can use this type of positional argument function. Let me execute this one. Here, the type of the argument is tuple. The execution starts only from the function call statement. We know already. This is your definition part. This is the call statement for this definition part. And these values which are internally treated as the tuple. Okay, the control carries these values and jumps from this function call statement to the function definition part. Inside this variable, all the values will be stored. Okay, so what type is this? This is the tuple object. Okay, and for the first iteration, Kala is stored inside the argument. And that value will be printed with hello. That's why we got this value. Likewise, hello Meena, hello Ram, hello Leela, hello Priya, and finally hello Geeta is printed. I hope you all understood about what is the variable length arguments and why we need this type of variable length arguments. Okay, this is the name of the function, sum all. We know already the execution starts only from the call statement, not from the definition part. So here, sum all is the call statement. The control carries these values and jumps from the call statement to the definition part, and all the values will be stored inside the values, because this is the variable length argument. Okay, and here result I have initialized 0. 0 is the value for result. Okay, and I have implemented the for loop. Inside the values we have 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 elements. For the first iteration, the first element 1 will be stored inside the num variable, and here result plus equal num. This is the add and assign operator. This means result is equal to result plus num. The result value is 0, num value is 1. So the 1 will be stored inside the result variable, and then the second iteration of the for loop, the second element from the values will be stored inside the num variable. Okay, and here result is equal to result plus num. Okay, so result value is 1 and num value is 2. After the addition of result and num, 3 will be stored inside the result variable. Likewise, the third element, fourth element and fifth element will be added. Okay, finally, we will get the addition of all elements. That is 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. Okay, then the result will be returned with the help of this return keyword. Okay, so that value will be printed on our console. Okay, likewise, here we have some different inputs. So this statement, so this call statement is used to adding these elements. Okay, let me execute this one. Here 15. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5, 15 is the result for this 7th one. And 177. 100 plus 20 plus 13 plus 44. So this is the result for this 8th statement. This is the example program for variable length argument. Addition of all elements. And we have one more example. In this case, execution starts only from the 8th statement, because here only we have the call statement, and the control carries all the values and jumps from the 8th statement to the function definition part for this call statement, and these values will be stored inside this arguments, because here we have the variable length arguments, asterisk with the name of the variable. Okay, and here I have the variable name result. I assigned the 0th index value of this arguments to this result variable, that is 40 will be stored inside the result variable. And I have implemented the for loop. So arguments holds all the values. For the first iteration 40 will be stored inside the num variable, and here I have implemented the decision making statement. After the evaluation of this expression, we will get either true or false. If it returns true, the if block will be executed. Okay, so num holds 40 and result also holds 40. So num less than 40, that is 40 less than 40 returns false only. So the if block will be skipped and the next element of arguments will be stored inside the num variable, that is 56 will be stored inside the num variable. Here after the evaluation of this expression, we will get true only, because num holds 40 and result holds 56. So 40 less than 56 returns true. So the control comes inside the if block and the result will be updated, okay, to the num variable value. That is, result will be now 56. The third iteration, the third element, 67 of this argument value will be stored inside the num variable. Here, num value is 67 and result value is 56. So, after the evaluation of this expression, we will get false only. So, the if block will be skipped and the control jumps from the 5th line to the 3rd line, and the 4th element of this argument will be stored inside the num variable. Now the value of num is 7 and the value of result is 56. So after the evaluation of this expression, we will get true one. Now the result will be updated. Now the value of result will be 7. Okay, and the final iteration, that is 21 element will be stored inside the num variable, and num value is 21 and result value is 7. After the evaluation of this expression, we will get false only, because num value is 21, result value is 7. False means the if block will be skipped. Now the result holds the 7. So that value will be returned. So we will get the smallest value among the given value. Let me execute this one. So we got 7. Okay. Why we need this type of variable length arguments? In large projects, we may not know the number of arguments to be passed in advance. In such cases, we can use this type of variable length argument. Okay, these comma separated values which are internally treated as tuple. I hope you all understood about what is the variable positional argument or arbitrary positional argument. We will discuss the arbitrary keyword argument in the next session. In this session, we will discuss about the keyword arguments. Okay, here I have created the function myFun. Okay, and here inside the round brackets I have used 2 asterisk symbols. For non-keyword we have used a single asterisk symbol with argument, but this is the keyword arguments, so we have to use 2 asterisk symbol with the name of the argument. Okay, here inside this function, I have used the for loop. Keyword arguments dot items. This is the inbuilt method. It returns the key and value of this keyword arguments. Okay, so the key value will be stored inside the K and the value from keyword arguments will be stored inside the V variable. Okay, so that values will be printed with the help of the print method. Here we have used the format specifier %s. This is for the string format specifier. Okay, so this format specifier will be replaced by the value of K and this format specifier will be replaced by the value of V. So for the next iteration, the next element key values will be printed. Likewise, all the elements inside this keyword arguments will be printed on our console. Okay, here this is the call statement. Execution starts from this call statement only. Here we have the key and value, key, value, key, value. So what are the keys? First, mid and last. These are the keys. What are the values? 1, 2 and 3. Okay, so this key value is 1, mid key value is 2, last key value is 3. After encounter this line, the control jumps from the 6th line to the 1st line. Okay, here these values will be stored inside this keyword arguments. Okay, here we have to use the double asterisk symbols. So inside this keyword arguments, we have key and value pairs. Okay, now let me execute this one. So for the first iteration, the key and value is printed. Second iteration, we got the key and value. For the third iteration, we got the key last and the value 3. Let's take this example. Here I have created the car class and inside the car class, I have created the init method. We know already the init method is used to initialize the variables which are belongs to the car class. Okay, we have the self keyword and the variable length keyword arguments. And inside the init method, we have initialized the speed and color variables. Okay, and here I have used the keyword arguments. Okay, this key value will be stored inside the speed and C is the key. That C value will be stored inside the color. So this is the class, car class. And here I have created the objects, Skoda, BMW, Creta for the same car class. Okay, and here I have used the class. Okay, here I have passed the keyword argument value. During the creation of the Skoda, what will happen? The init method will be invoked automatically. So the control jumps from the 11th statement to the 4th statement and the key value pairs will be stored inside the keyword arguments. That is S200 C red will be stored inside this argument. And here the speed will be initialized with the value of 200 because this is the key, isn't it? So this key value is 200. That value will be stored inside the speed. Likewise, this is the key. So what is the value of this key? Red will be stored inside the color. Okay, and again the control jumps back to the 12th line. Here BMW. This is the name of the object and this is the class name. Here we have passed the keyword argument values. Okay, so two pairs I have passed. So S is the key, C is the key, 250 is the value for S and black is the value for C. So the control carries these values and jump from the 12th line to the 4th line. Here the S250C black key value pairs will be stored inside this argument. The key value will be stored inside the speed and the C value will be stored inside the color. Again the control jumps back to the crita. This is the name of the object. This is the name of the class, and here these key value pairs will be carried by the control and jumps from the 13th line to the 4th line. So these values will be stored inside the speed and color. And again the control jumps back to the 16th line. Coda.color returns the red and BMW.speed returns 250. Let me execute this. So I got the output. Okay. I hope you all understood what is the usage of keyword arguments. Why we need variable length arguments. In large projects, sometimes we may not know the number of arguments to be passed in advance. In such cases only we can use this type of positional argument or keyword argument according to our requirement. Okay. Let's see this example. Here my function name is concatenate. And inside the round brackets, I have the keyword arguments. Okay. Here we have the double asterisk and the name of the variable. So what is the task of this concatenate? It is used to concatenate all the words that are the values of the keyword arguments. Here inside this function, I have created the result variable. I have initialized the result variable as empty and I have implemented the for loop. This is the name of the variable. This is the name of the keyword argument. Here I have used the inbuilt method values. This method returns the values from this keyword arguments. Okay. And the values from the keyword arguments will be concatenated with the help of this statement, that is result is equal to result plus argument. We know this is the add and assign operator. This means result is equal to result plus argument. After the concatenation of all the values from the keyword arguments, that result will be returned with the help of the return statement. Okay, this is the call statement. Execution starts only from this 8th statement only. Okay, so these are all the keyword arguments. That means key value pairs. A is the key, God is the value for A, B is the key, is the value for B, C is the key, always is the value for C, D is the key, with is the value for D, E is the key, as is the value for E. Okay, the control carries all the key value pairs and jumps from the 8th line to the definition part for this call statement. And here we have the keyword arguments. Okay, so these key value pairs will be stored inside this argument. And here we have the result variable. For the first iteration, the value for the first key, God, will be stored inside the argument. And that value will be added to the result variable. Likewise, is will be stored inside the arg. That value will be concatenated with the existing result value. Likewise, always and with, finally as will be added to the result variable. Okay. After the execution of this for loop, the control comes here. Now the result holds all the values of the keys. Okay, so God is always with us. That value will be stored inside the result. That value will be returned to the call statement. Here we have the print. So this print statement will be used to print the concatenated value on our console. I hope you all understood about the execution flow of this program. Let me execute this one. So this is my output. God is always with us. Okay. All the words are concatenated with the help of this for loop implementation. Okay. So in this case, we have used the keyword arguments. Keyword arguments means key value pairs will be passed from the call statement to the definition part. Okay. Next example. Here total fruits. This is the name of the method. Inside the round brackets, we have the keyword argument. Argument name is fruits. Here we have used the double asterisk symbol. This indicates this is the keyword argument. Okay. And inside this total fruits, I have initialized the total variable. 0 is the value for total. Here I have implemented the for loop. Okay. And the values for this fruits keyword argument returns the values from the fruits keyword argument. Okay. For the first iteration, the first value will be stored and that value will be added to the total variable. Okay. Likewise, all the values inside the fruits keyword arguments will be added into the total variable. And the added value will be returned with the help of the return keyword. Okay. So that value will be returned to the call statement. Okay. So here I have used 3 call statements for the same definition part. Okay. So we already know we can create number of call statements for the single user defined function. So in this example, I have created 3 call statements. Okay. Here I have passed 3 argument values. Okay, so grapes is equal to 5, mango is equal to 7, apple is equal to 8. Grapes is the name of the key and 5 is the value for this key and mango is the name of the key, 7 is the value for this mango key and apple is the key and 8 is the value for this key apple. Okay. After encounter this line, the control carries these key value pairs and jumps from the 8th line to the definition part for this call statement. So the control comes here and these values will be stored inside the fruits keyword argument. Okay. And the control comes inside the function. Here we have the total variable, its value is 0. For the first iteration, this fruits.values return this 5. Okay, this is the key. So here we have the values inbuilt method. So this values inbuilt method returns the 5 value for the first iteration. Okay, so that 5 will be stored inside the total. Okay, because total is equal to total plus amount. Total value is 0, amount value is now 5. So 0 plus 5, 5. So that value will be stored inside the total. Likewise, the second iteration, the 7 will be added to the existing value of total. So existing value of total is 5. Now 7. So 5 plus 7. So what is the value? 12. Likewise, the third iteration, 8 will be added to the existing one. So 12 plus 8, 20. Okay. So what is the net result? 20. That value will be returned with the help of the return statement. So the control again jumps back to the 8th line. 20 will be printed on our console. Okay. Likewise, this is the second call statement for the same function definition part. So the control carries these 4 key value pairs and jumps from the 9th line to the first line. So these values will be stored inside the fruits keyword argument. Okay. So again the same process will be going on. Okay. So what is the total amount after the execution of this for loop? 5 plus 7, 12, 12 plus 8, 20, 20 plus 10, 30. So 30 will be printed on our console. Next 10th line, here we have only 2 key value pairs. Okay, this is the call statement. So this is the key value pairs. These values will be carried by the control and jumps from the 10th line to the first line. So these key value pairs will be stored inside the fruits keyword argument and again the same process will be going on. Okay, so what is the value of total now? 5 plus 7, 12 only. So that value will be returned and 12 will be printed on our console. Okay, let me execute this one. Here 20 is the result for the 8th call statement and 30 is the result for the 9th call statement and the 12 is the result for the 10th call statement. Okay, I hope you all understood about the execution flow of this program. And here we have one more example. Print values. Here we have used the keyword arguments. Okay, and here I have implemented the for loop. Here I have used the items inbuilt method. So items returns the key and value. Okay, so in this case we have used only the values inbuilt method. So this returns only the value of the key. But here I have used the items inbuilt method for this keyword arguments. So what is the result for this inbuilt method? It returns the key as well as the value. Okay, so that values will be stored inside the key and value respectively. Okay, and here we have used the format inbuilt method. Okay, these are the placeholders. We already discussed about this format method. Okay, so for the first placeholder, the key will be placed. For the second placeholder, the value will be stored. Okay, this is the call statement. Okay, after encounter this line, the control carries these key value pairs and jumps from the 11th line to the first line. So these values will be stored inside this keyword arguments. Okay, and for the first iteration, name1 key and ROM value will be stored inside the key and value respectively. Okay, so name1 will be placed here and ROM will be placed inside this placeholder. Likewise, for the second iteration, name2 will be placed the first placeholder and Priya will be placed in the next placeholder. Likewise, name3 and Vani, name4 and Palani, name5 and Lada. This is the fifth iteration value. Okay, let me execute this one. Here, for the first iteration, what will happen? Keyword arguments dot items returns name1 and ROM. So name1 is stored inside key and ROM is stored inside value. Okay, that's why we got this value. Okay, the value of this is the value for the first placeholder and this is the value for the second placeholder. Okay, and the second iteration, the name2 is stored inside the key and Priya is stored inside the value. That's why we got this result. For the third iteration, name3 is stored inside the key and Vani is stored inside the value. That's why we got this result. For the fourth iteration, name4 is stored inside the key and Palani is stored inside the value. That's why we got this output. And the fifth iteration, last iteration, okay, name5 is stored inside the key and Lada is stored inside the value. That's why we got the value of name5 is Lada. Okay, we have completed this session. If you have any doubts, drop the message on the comment section. If this video is useful to you, like and share. For more videos, subscribe my channel, hit the bell icon, then only you will get the notification for my new updates. Have a nice day. Thank you.